How do you handle itching with hypnosis if the itching has no known physical cause? Mike Mandel, where are you feeling itchy right now?
Everywhere.
With only an emotional, no, I'm kidding. All right, we got Mike Mandel Hypnosis. Mike Mandel Hypnosis, the man himself, our 5,000-year-old wizard, to talk to us about itching, and if there's no cause, how the heck are you going to deal with that?
Okay, we're saying if there's no medical cause, we're saying the person doesn't have scabies or MS or, lice or something like that, in which case you have to deal with the problem, not just get rid of the itch. But so the cause of itching must be taken into account. But one of the things you can use as a hypnotist is the control room. Say that at 5 hits of acid. Try the control room of the mind. There, I said it really powerfully. Imagine you put the person in a trance, they imagine this control room, get a deep trance happening, although you can do it with a fairly light trance as well, but why would you? And you say in front of you are all the controls, levers, dials, switches that control every aspect of your thoughts and your physical being. Find the one that will control itching. Notice what it's set at. Reach out with your physical hand and turn it down as low as your unconscious mind will permit you to.
Ooh, we have to unpack that briefly here. So find the one that controls the itching. Implication, presupposition
there is
technique
one.
Here. It presupposes there is one and that you will find it, right?
Correct.
And then turning it down. This is the principle of we're not prescribing specifics. We're letting the unconscious mind of the other person decide the appropriate level, right?
And they'll run into that. They'll say they turn it down to 0, but it pops back up to 3. Or they'll say they can't turn it beyond 3. When they report back to you later, you're not going to ask them at the time. And then breathe in all those wonderful changes and all that relief. I'm huge over the last 10 years of adding breathing to set the effects that we do.
Yeah.
There's something about you breathe in all those wonderful changes. It really cements it in place very powerfully.
Another area that I want to bring up here is, and everyone watching, we can do a little bit of an experiment here. Check in with your body. Do you have any itches anywhere?
Yes.
Let's say you have an itch and you decide it's right here on the forearm or something like that. It could be anywhere for you. How many times do you need to scratch it to satisfy it?
Yeah.
How many would it be normal?
An odd number
3?
is normal.
What if you did 2? Is that enough? Because you're getting people to start to imagine that they're in some control. Oh, I thought I needed 3 scratches. Actually, is 2 enough? Is 1 enough? How hard do they need to be? If we could measure this with some force meter. Yeah. So we can start to analyze the details of this. We can even analyze things like where specifically does the itch stop?
Right.
Over describing it, right? Do you want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, the thing you said about how many times you have to scratch it. I have noticed since we started talking about this topic that I typically scratch something 5 times. 5 brings the itchy relief. In fact, it's pretty itchy.
What if you didn't? What if you didn't?
So you hypnotize them and tell them that 4 will work.
Right.
And then over time, they'll notice 3 will work. You can set up a process here that will really, really help the person. It's another thing you can do, of course, is glove anesthesia.
Yeah.
We use the classic pain relief method. We're going to create a cataleptic limb, make it numb, have them put the hand on the jaw or wherever they need the pain relief, and the numbness flows. In fact, you can do it for emotional pain, have them put it on their heart.
And this would be useful for chronic itching that wasn't going away, and you don't want to treat it with medicine.
Yes, itching is, we treat it as very low-level pain, because it's catching your attention. But I like what you said about exploring the boundaries, the intensity of the itch. You can redirect their attention through description. And what I find interesting, too, is you can use suggestion. Say the doctor has given them cortisone cream or something because they have some sort of itching area of their skin. You can use hypnosis to enhance the effect of the cortisone as well. So you'll say it will work appropriately. It'll work really well. Not, it'll work so well, and don't ramp it up to the ozone layer, but you can emphasize it. And you can say any method you use with hypnosis to turn down pain, you can use to turn down itching. Just treat it as pain. What about time distortion?
Well, yeah, you can have somebody experience an entire day's worth of itching in only the amount of time it takes to scratch 5 times. If they've told you 5 is sufficient, let's say, instead of applying a specific amount of time, I like to use something like that, in only the amount of time that it takes to execute those 5 itches, and you're done for the day.
Now.
Yeah.
You're done for that. Now, the interesting thing, too, is dissociation will work, just like it does for pain or anxiety, have the person see themselves from the outside. But adding a barrier really will help with itching. So they dissociate, and then they imagine there's a barrier in between. It could be an iceberg or something cool, or it could be a wall. between them and the image of themselves with the itch. That will intensify the effect because it's increasing the power of the dissociation.
I have one suggestion as well that you and I haven't even talked about, but I remember doing a self-hypnosis, a segue to a power nap. This is where it came from. I was going to do a 20-minute power nap. I'm lying there in my usual lying in the liary.
Like Jack the
and
Liar.
I've got my Dire Straits on, which I love for self-hypnosis, and I'm about to segue into trance. And I noticed this itch, and I thought to myself, well, rather than scratch it, I'm going to imagine that I'm scratching it.
Oh, nice.
And the first time it didn't work right away, but it did work. I said, I'm going to imagine that I'm scratching it because it's only low-level itch. It's not that irritating. It's only like a 1 out of 10 kind of on the bother scale, right? If you really think about it, compared to being stuck with a pin tack, let's say.
Right.
It's just a little itch. So I'm going to imagine that I'm scratching it with the perfect length of fingernails, just those nicely sharp, just...
Like guitar nails are perfect.
And guess what? The damn thing faded away.
The damn thing.
And I segued into power nap, and it was awesome. So what if you could have someone in hypnosis, get them very deep, and then give them direct suggestions that whenever they feel any level of itching, they'll be easily able to naturally imagine that it's scratched.
Why not,
and
Chris?
goes away.
That's good. You can have them keep the itching, but forget to notice it. If they don't notice it, they're not scratching it. Let's go through this fairly quickly. Dabney Ewan said, things that respond to antihistamines will generally respond to hypnosis. Now, a lot of itch is caused by histamine. Not all of it, though. So if you're doing any kind of anesthetic effect with someone, you can add anti-inflammatory and antihistamine benefits too, provided they understand the words. They'll get a nice result from that.
Perfect.
But there's all kinds of things that are not histamine related. Thyroid problems can cause itching. Drug reactions, especially to opioids, will cause itching. I said scabies and lice and dry skin and psoriasis. But modifying sensations, reducing scratching frequency through hypnosis, so they just find that they don't do it as much or as often. And the interesting thing about it is you get a vicious circle, a self-aggravating condition. You scratch, it makes it worse. So that makes you want to scratch it some more. So you have to break the cycle, and hypnosis is great for that. Let me just add this final point and we'll move on. But you can be very creative with this. A case I had when I was a therapist was I had an oncological nurse who had a tumor, cancerous tumor, in the common duct from her liver and gallbladder. Consequently, the bile pigments had backed up in her bloodstream, and she had something called cholestasis, which is, it meant that the tissues of her body had become saturated with these bile pigments and itched. With her, it was mostly the bottom part of her body, her shins. She'd scratch them until they were raw. They couldn't use cortisone on it because it would suppress her immune system even more than it was, and she needed her immune system to fight the cancer. She was on her way out, but she wanted some sort of relief. I hypnotized her and moved the itching from her shins to her bed. So she'd wake up in the night itching, would scratch the sheets of the bed and get relief.
Right.
Without ripping these scabs open.
Which would let them heal, but then it would still affect her sleep, right?
Right. So then what we did was I had her change rooms. It was a 2-session treatment, change rooms with her teenage daughter. So she's feeling the itching still, but it's in the other bed down the hall.
And
so she didn't have to scratch it. Didn't keep her awake.
The dissociation.
So be creative. If you can imagine it, chances are good your subject can imagine it too. Your brain is an awesome thing. Use it.
All right. Check out the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy if this stuff fascinates you and you find yourself oddly interested in becoming a professional hypnotist. You can do it. It's easy to get started for free. MikeMandelHypnosis.com. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks once again, and good night.